Alright, here's gonna be a short video on how to configure your PLC-SIM, TIA Portal, and Factory I/O all correctly. So you should be hopefully be able to connect with a simulated PLC to your simulated scene. This particular one that I've picked, it's one of the ready scenes. It doesn't matter really because I just wanted to see if I'm able to trigger any of the output signals or read the input signals from the scene on my simulated PLC. So for that, um, I just have a simple ET200SP set up with 2 times digital input and output cards. That was just a simple setup of adding a device, selecting the ET200. The particular one I've selected was this one, SP1. I just bear in mind that this version that I'm using is TIA Portal version 17, and the particular firmware version 2.9 already has some security settings and some additional stuff, so it doesn't work well in the simulation. So I downgraded it to version 2.8. With doing that, I was able to then, when testing, to push the code. So hopefully, the same should happen all over again. But actually, that can be even very quickly redone. So if I was to add, oh sorry, just mentioned ET200. So ET200 SP01 version 2.8, just so that you have the ability to add everything from the scratch. Um, so we have the CPU module, but it doesn't have any input or output cards. So from inputs, I'll select this one. I add 2 modules for the inputs, then 2 modules HF ones for the outputs. Perfect. With that being done and configured, I can just double check my inputs are on 0. First card of input is on 0, first card of output is on 0 as well. Okay, that's gonna be useful for later. Um, in order to be able to connect to the simulated PLC, I just have to remember that in the properties of the project, this tick box has to be well ticked. And now with that being done, I'll be able to switch on PLCSIM. So, switching to PLCSIM virtual Ethernet adapter, leaving this one on local. Here I'm gonna create a simple instance of, it doesn't matter really, but calling it, because in the older documentation of Factory I/O they were saying that apparently you have to have your PLC called like that. You don't anymore, but just left it like this. 192.168.0.1 is the default IP address that was kept in this project. If you change it in the project, you have to remember to change here as well, otherwise it's not going to be discoverable. Subnet mask kept on /24. There's no gateway entered, and because I'm using 200SP controller, that's what I'm putting here as a type. Okay, starting this one first. I'm currently operating on trial, that's fine. Okay, so this one is ready to receive the program. So now getting back to TIA Portal, highlighting the PLC_1, right? I can rename it later, but the actual PLC. Now clicking download. Here from the options, I should have a PLCSIM virtual adapter, Ethernet adapter. If I don't, it will be worth double checking here in network Ethernet settings, going to adapter options. There should be this virtual Ethernet adapter. If I even look up the properties, TIA Portal itself allows to create temporary ports for your for your switch itself, for your adapter itself. But if you would like to ensure that you're able to connect, maybe there's some problems, you can change here from automatic address. You can change um, to be within the range that you're assigning. So let's say I could be 168.0.2, let's say. That should work absolutely fine as well. We're gonna test that in case if it's not, we just come back to original. So if I was to download, look up Siemens Ethernet adapter, now it's browsing through that adapter. What are the available controllers? Okay, there's an accessible device. There you go, CPU common. That's the default name. If I click upload, all the warnings, that's fine. I actually hope I'm gonna come up with some errors so we can troubleshoot it in case you have any errors that's happening on your side. See if anything is happening here. Not yet. Okay. Took quite a while, but now I'm able to start the module, finish off. If I look up the PLCSIM, that changed to green. And now what is left is the configuration of factory I/O. So with the model, I go to drivers. From here, I select the 1215. I don't click connect just yet. First, I go to configuration. So I have a 1500 model really because ET200s are classified as 1500s really. My default IP address, that's the adapter that I'm using. And now all my inputs and outputs start off with the address 0. And let's say I have a total of 16. And I have a total of 16 outputs as well. It leaves me with more than I need, but it's absolutely fine in this situation. If I go back, I can see that my additional ports are here, but that's fine. Let's click connect. Okay. Communication with error occurred. Okay, the configuration itself, I believe that was right. That's fine. Still failing to do so. I left it on auto connection. Hmm. If we look up the website very quickly, that's for the PLCSIM Advanced. There you go. In here they actually say they would like you to call it factory I/O. That's fine. That's fine. That we have ticked off. But there was one more option that I think we have to select, okay, drivers PLCSIM Advanced. Okay, let's double check that. PLCSIM Advanced. Um, Although we're not using just the PLCSIM, are we? No, so that was correct. That was correct itself. Let's come back to that. Because as we see it in here, still using it. How it looks like in here, they're still using the configuration of PLCSIM Advanced just as a sole PLCSIM. There was another setting on the controller thing we have to change. Not with the licenses. Ah, let's see. So I did this. Ah, no, in here. Yes, that's correct. The put get communication from remote partner. That had to be ticked. Doesn't say it directly, but I just remembered from the forums itself, and actually one of the trainings, that's where we had to reconfigure in order to have it. The other tick shouldn't do any harm, so that's absolutely fine. Let's have another look. Connect. Perfect. Okay. So I should have a couple of inputs in. Um, let's have a look. PLC tags. Let's create a new. Right. How many do I have? Let's say input 0 to 1.0. I'm just gonna call it as generic input, just for the sake of it. So that if I add 9, well, I just check them now. Well, of course, had to download it. Download them first. Okay, that also is new, unless where's our factory IO? Ah, unless the simulation. Let's see. So at load, at entry should be off, at load should be on. Ah, and that also is another problem that you have encountered. This is all coming back. Because we've put the addresses, simulated addresses that are coming from a simulation from here, they should have not been assigned to the same range as physical addresses. So physical addresses is something that the PLC expects to receive on its on the cables, on the connections, the actual physical connections that it has to it. So that if you leave it like that, then it's clashing. I think we saw a very quick blink of one of the signals. I don't think we're gonna have that in here. I don't expect it's happening again. But whatever this is, this our simulation is trying to write into input 0.1 and whatever else. it's immediately being overwritten by no signal. Ah, there you go. Received from the actual physical inputs because there's nothing wired to this, well, simulated PLC that acts like a real PLC in here. So it doesn't have anything on the physical signals. That's why when assigning my driver, I should actually not put it on the same byte as the real signals. I should put it on somewhere far away from it. Another thing is, when I'm doing this, I'll quickly double check, taking it here, that there's nothing on address 10 for either inputs and outputs, and there's nothing, so that's correct. I'll go offline because I'll have to anyways in a second. And now my station IO, I'm gonna assign to input 10.0 because that's what I'm putting the offset on. Okay, so override the tags, and I'm gonna put some outputs as well. Q10.0, put a couple of them. Let's have a look. So that can be hidden. That can be almost hidden. Okay, so I'm putting now inputs and outputs an offset of 10. Coming back to it, maybe I can disconnect, connect again, connect, and now, oh, I'll save the project, that's a good point, and download it quickly. So the configuration is changed. Now if I try to look it up, correct. Okay, so something in front of the emitter, can see that. It's just there. This is a normally closed signal, so it beams back from here. If there's something in front of it, then it's wrong. If I try to slowly remove it, you can see the signal coming to true or, sorry, I'm not good at it, true or back to false. Yeah, let me just restart that. Now, why don't we try to control the conveyor? Conveyor is 10.1. Entry conveyor is actually 10.0. So, if I was to test it quickly, I would have to, because those are outputs, create a watch table. And I'm gonna put here 10.0. So we do a couple of them. And now I would like to modify this to 1. There you go. Off it goes. Modify it back to false. And then the next one. Oh, now it's already in the wrong position, but with a bit of a delay. Can tell. Oh, the fork's working correctly. Yeah. But I can tell for sure. There you go. I can tell for sure my simulation is now connected successfully. So from this point onwards, I can program my my station. Of course, it will be now sensible to pull this page and then get to the station IOs to rename those inputs one to more useful names, as for example sensor at entry, right? And it could be normally closed because it's a normally closed signal. And you continue with that. Okay, I hope that was useful. Thank you very much.